Republicans say that we are going to be crushed under the burden of debt, that our kids are going to inherit all of this debt, and that we have a responsibility to be fiscally responsible, to at least attempt to balance the budget. Now, Republicans are in power, and there is not even a single conversation about doing that. No one is talking about trying to be fiscally responsible, to not spend or have expenditures without paying for it. Why is that?
Well, I can tell you, the Democrat Party has moved radically left. And Bill Clinton was in charge.
Not
hold on.
Democrat.
Hold on, Clinton. When Bill Clinton was in charge, when Bill Clinton was in charge, Democrats balanced the budget.
The answer to the question.
Well, when Bill Clinton was in power, Democrats balanced the budget. They passed a bill to cut 400,000 people out of the federal government. 55 Democrats voted for it. You couldn't find 5 that would vote for that today.
That's not true. Listen, there is actually a Doge caucus. Hold on, there's a Doge caucus right now that was prepared to work with this administration on cuts. What happened was that the administration decided they didn't want to do that. They were just going to do it single-handedly. That they could have stood up a bipartisan commission to cut the federal government the way Bill Clinton did with Republicans in Congress.
Wait a minute.
They did not
tonight
do
in our
that.
town hall, Johanna Hayes, the representative from
why?
Connecticut, was asked does she agree with any cuts that Elon Musk made. She can't do
why
it.
did this administration not take leadership and say, let's stand up
So
a bipartisan commission and
Congress
cut
is
the
completely
government?
useless over 20 years when it comes to being fiscally responsible. They've done nothing. So you're absolutely right, Abby. You said it's kind of a backwards process. And what Trump has basically said is Republicans and Democrats alike, when it comes to being fiscally responsible, you've done nothing. You talk about waste, fraud, and abuse, you've done nothing. So we're going to do it. Now, that has to be backed up. And what you'll see is Russ Vote will bring bills, rescission bills, over the next year or so that kind of back up what Doge is doing. And that's a very important piece of this. So Trump is the only president in the last 25 years that has actually tweeted out and publicly used the words balanced budget, balance it now. He's trying to drive forward, and you're right.
Let's talk first one second about some numbers. I think this is super important. You're talking about balancing a budget in the context of Doge. Here is what Doge has estimated to have saved, according to its own website. This is what Elon now says is going to be the target: $150 billion in its first year. We're not even in the vague ballpark of the promised $2 trillion, or then the lowered $1 trillion.
Should we not start?
I'm not saying not to start.
This is 90 days into the most complex government system on the planet.
We need to start somewhere.
Elon is now saying that this is where they're going to end up for 2025. Okay,
which is $150 billion more than any president in the last 25 years.
Great, fine, but it does not get you close to a balanced budget. How do you get there? How do you get there?
Well, there's no doubt to get there, you're going to have to start eventually dealing with entitlement reform, which, again, Nancy Pelosi and Bernie Sanders said there's massive waste and fraud in Medicare. We got to go after it. Social Security goes bankrupt in 9 years, guys. And when that happens, guess what? Yes, it does. And you lose 20% of your benefits at that point. That's in law. So someone's going to have to come in and adjust Social Security to deal with that. And Doge is literally 90 days in, 100 days in, and they've already found $150 billion. Wait till they get to defense. Wait till they get to HHS. They're barely getting started.
I want to play because it's good. So let's just play it, because this is Elon, what he's said all this time about what they're going to do and what they're not going to do.
Well, I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
Yeah! I think we'll try for $2 trillion. I think that's like the best case outcome. If we try for $2 trillion, we've got a good shot at getting one.
You think you'll wind up getting to $1 trillion?
Yeah.
Of savings?
I mean, unless we're stopped, we will get to $1 trillion of savings.
I think we will have accomplished most of the work required to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion within that time frame.
So in that time frame, 130 days.
Thanks to your fantastic leadership, this amazing cabinet, the very talented Doge team, I'm excited to announce that we anticipate savings in FY26 from reduction of waste and fraud by $150 billion.
All right, so that's by the end of the fiscal year, okay? So not 6 months or whatever. Look, the reason I'm bringing this up is because everybody knows that the math is not mathing. Even when they eliminate entire departments, they are not getting close to the numbers that they need to get to deal with spending by just slashing.
So you're saying that they should go harder, is what you're saying?
I'm saying
they need to cut more,
is that if a rational government would come up with a plan, a bipartisan plan, and that they would legislate that plan. But they seem to have no interest in doing that.
No, it's not interest. It's fear.
We have a bipartisan commission. It's called the U.S. Senate.
Whatsoever. Democrats and Republicans right now in Congress. I just decided I wasn't running for Senate, partially because I don't think that they have the sorry, the balls to do what has to be done, excuse me,
Can we say that
because
now?
it's really, it's a serious issue.
Yes,
and they talk a good game and they do nothing. So, let's give Trump a little credit for saying, I'm willing to do the hard things. I'm willing to do things no one else has ever tried, whether it's closing a border, going after Doge, finding efficiency, having to cut government workers when you have to do it. I think his team, if anything, is failing him in that they make mistakes. As a leader, as governor, when I was willing to make tough decisions, the team had to carry it out flawlessly. And it's hard, but his team is letting him down.
So I'm fascinated by this because you're out of the Senate race because your party's in power right now. In the Senate, you're probably good for like at least the next 2 to 4 years. But you don't think that that's going to be a place where you can get anything done, even with entire control of the federal government?
I more didn't run because it wasn't right for me and my family and all that sort of thing. But you need 51 votes, and you need to work across the aisle, and you need to do certain things to do what has never been done. Guys, the debt is building. This isn't politics, it is math.
No, I get it.
I
guess I just have a couple questions for the table. Can we reach $1 trillion in cuts with, you talked about entitlements without touching Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security. Okay.
No,
So that means, and so I think this is what came up in, it's like the devil is in the details and all. And I think that actually Republicans are really good with these like top line one-liners that like make voters interested. But then when you actually get to the details of it, it's the thing that gets the House and the Senate's phone lines ringing, which is why they don't have the courage, because they actually won't do the governing of the people. You can't do what Elon is saying he's doing without touching the programs that American people don't want to get touched.